Right, guys, Predator Badlands is out, and with it, of course, we get lots of interviews with the creative minds behind that film, namely Dan Trachtenberg, and lots of concepts get revealed to us in these interviews. Some of them are better than others, some of them are doo-doo butter, but some are pretty good. This is an interesting one. So, Dan Trachtenberg reveals that he had a World War II Predator movie idea. That nearly happened, basically. Which I think is interesting. I think that's quite interesting. I'm sure most people would say, that's an interesting concept. Presumably some of those ideas got worked into Killer of Killers. Maybe. Maybe. And I am still infinitely disappointed by the fact, and I said this before actually, I think I even said it in my Killer of Killers review, is that as much as I love the feudal Japan setting in Killer of Killers, I'm disappointed because it likely means we'll never see it in live action. And that would be wicked in live action. But alas, c'est la vie. So I thought we'd take a look at this, right? No matter what you think of the movie, we're not really here to talk about Badlands. Although, I guess, topic of conversation is, if you like or dislike Badlands, do you think this chap is the man for it? I guess that's a worthwhile contribution to the conversation. So, as the director says, because they have the interview here, Predator Badlands is a film unlike anything fans have seen in the franchise. That is objectively true. That's why it's a bit Marmite, I guess. It takes an iconic monster in an entirely new direction, making him the hero of the story. Not only does it do that, but Demetrius Schuster-Kulatuamangi's deck is also an underdog, a classification not typically given to a Predator. The movie also features Elle Fanning's duo of Weyland-Yutani synthetics, Thea and Tessa, making this film a sort of alien crossover. It just establishes that they are in the same world, which is fine. So, apparently the story didn't start from there. This actually wasn't the initial idea. So, the director sat down with Dan Trachtenberg, who also directed Prey and co-directed Killer of Killers. He revealed the surprising origin of the movie's story, which was almost Nazis in World War II. I mean, that's a weird evolution, isn't it? That's a weird evolution. We went from Nazis to an alien planet. What? Sorry, sir, what? So Trachtenberg teased that the very first nugget of the idea was, what if the Predator wins? Though he decided he really didn't want it to be a slasher movie where the slasher wins, which I actually think is deeply misguided. I actually think people would want to see a Predator win in that circumstance one day. And I've also stated how you could do it, right? You can have legacy characters where the Predator wins, you know, in one movie, i.e. slaughtering most people, but you could have one character as a through line, character's brother, like the original Predator film, for instance, right? It was supposed to be Dutch's brother, and Dutch as well. Was it Dutch's brother? Maybe I'm making this up. But imagine if Dutch gets killed at the end of the first movie, and then there's a through line of Dutch's brother coming back for vengeance. That works. You can do that. Not necessarily with Dutch, but I digress. You can have the slasher win, but you can have a character that is revealed in exposition, or dialogue, not necessarily exposition, but dialogue, from our main character who does die, and then that character comes to fruition and into their own in the sequel, and then they win, and then they're victorious over the previous winner. You can do it, and I think that would be satisfying. It's like a generational, not generational trauma, but a generational battle with the Predator. I think that'd be wicked. What do you think? Let me know. But anyway, so he didn't want to do a movie where the slasher wins. From there, though, he shifted direction while still focusing on the idea of audiences rooting for the Predator himself. This is where the Prey director played around with the idea of a story set in World War II where a Predator would kick Nazi butt. Which I think, that would be fun. That would be fun. You could almost go like Wolfenstein-esque with it and have like Nazi scientific experiments Could be quite good. So eventually it evolved into the Predator being the protagonist of his own story and on his own journey, his own adventure. So the director Russ Milheim also spoke with Predator Badlands star Elle Fanning and Demetrius blah blah blah, who, I can't say his name, who talked about how they brought such a unique mark to the franchise with their characters. More interviews with Everin, and then there's quite a lot actually. But I mean, this is interesting. So the crazy World War II origin story of how Predator Badlands came to be, I mean, that is basically the take home from this. So he said, the very first nugget of the idea was, what if the Predator wins? And I just didn't want it to be a slasher movie where the slasher wins. I really wanted you to root for the guy. And then in rooting for it, I was like, well, I guess he could be like set in World War II. So this is where I think Dan Trachtenberg is slightly creatively bankrupt, quite frankly. You can have a villain win and it not be who you're rooting for, right? Like, you don't have to root for the guy that ultimately wins. You can have a satisfying ending where the villain wins, but it sets up a future movie for the ultimate downfall. That's good character building. It's like cross-movie character building. You can do that. But whatever. So yeah, I really wanted you to be rooting for the guy. And then in rooting for it, I was like, well, I guess he could be like set in World War II and he's kicking Nazi butt or something. But even then, I felt like that's not really a special new movie. And then it became, wait a second, what if he's really the protagonist of his own story? And I get people to really root for him on his own journey, his own adventure. What was too far? I don't know. There were probably just some designs, because every time I sort of asked people to kind of break down what the idea is of a Yautja to try and find a new look for it, and there probably were some designs that were like too far gone, and even some of the wardrobe designs were maybe too cultured. Galea Dixon was our costume designer who won an Academy Award for Lord of the Rings. Usually the Yautja's costuming is done just by the creature designers. This is the first time we really had someone who's like the costume department, a true artist of that specific craft, is designing their wardrobe. And some early designs felt like a little too medieval and too earthbound, and really tried to find something that spoke to and was a little bit more Spartan, since their culture is so hardcore. And also, that was a little bit more like Conan Barbarian, nomadic culture. Well, there you go. There you go. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Would you have liked this? Would you not have liked this? Let me know down below. Bye-bye now.